see by the little red button flashing that we're recording. This video is kind of a follow-up on the one that I just did on the register tube and the issues of undertoning and all that. And also I brought up the issues of just the whole clarinet, especially the clarion register. You know, it's really incumbent on you as a clarinet player to do what you can to perfect the clarion register. This is your solo register. Yeah, the low register is beautiful. Nobody complains about the low register. But the upper register of the clarinet is not the most popular. And yet it can be the most beautiful and sinuous and delicate if it's done right. If you want a good example of that, Harold Wright's playing is the sine qua non. And if you don't know what that means, you can look it up. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to balance out in some degree the long end of the instrument. That is, by the long end, I mean this guy right here, the right hand, well, which is not in focus. Okay, all right, it's not in focus because I've got my camera set, so it'll, anyway. So I can do this, and just before I show you what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little housekeeping here. I showed you this, how to make this tool that for finishing the tip area. It's actually not just the tip area, but it's also the area from, say, the third of the reed, from right about there on up, blending this area, say the upper part of the middle third to the lower part of the top third of the reed. These little tools that I showed you are just super duper. Now, my wife came up with a really great idea about making these tools, and that is, as I mentioned, that Sugru comes in like different colors, and she said, well, why don't you make the tools and put different grades of abrasives on it, you know, like 320 and 400 and 600 and so on and so forth, and do them in different colors, so you know exactly which is which, and you don't have to go like, is that the right one? Is that the right color? What a great idea, right? So I ordered some Sugru, and so you can see right here, look at that. Yeah, so you got all those colors. See, I got blue and orange, so I can do my Astros colors. Oh, that's great. Now, if I could only see the Astros play. Oh well. Okay, so housekeeping done. Now let's get on to our subject, which is going to be somehow fixing the long end of the clarinet. Okay, the long end of the clarinet. And what's the problem with the long end of the clarinet? Well, the long end of the clarinet in the clarion register is resistance. Is when you play over the short pipe notes in the throat, you go into the long pipe notes in the right hand, you normally hit some kind of resistance. And when you hit resistance, in order to get basically the same sound, the same volume, same shape, you have to make some adjustments behind your nose. And that is not pleasant. And also, when you're going from short pipe up in the upper clarion, the G, A, B, C, down to the long pipe, down to D and C and all that, then there's not only the issue of making sure the fingers all work correctly, but there's the issue of the increased resistance. Even if the fingers work correctly, the increased resistance. So how can you deal with this? Well, one of the ways that I've mentioned and I keep banging away at is you do it with reed adjustment. To the degree a reed is out of balance, the natural increase of the resistance from short pipe to long pipe, or from the throat register to long pipe, that resistance differentiation is going to be increased. So the more the reed's out of balance, the stuffier, the less resonant, less vibrant, less alive the long pipe notes are going to be. So it's really incumbent on you, especially, to balance reeds well. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean like taking a bunch of wood out of the back of the reed, out of the bottom part of the reed. No, God forbid. What you do when you do that is you're going to kill your ability for the reed to have any kind of life and response. Okay? The the trick to getting those notes really clear and really beautiful is to have a nice flexible tip area. That is the top third. If you want to divide the reed into, the top 30% of the reed, that and blending in to the top of the middle, balance that really well, balance those ears really well, get a nice flexible reed like that, and you're going to the degree you're getting more and more ideal balance with your mouthpiece, and that you're making those areas more flexible and more responsive, you're going to get not only a better third register and not only a better upper clarion that's going to be clear and the sound's going to have life to it, you're also going to have clearer and better bell tones and more responsive bell tones. I know it's counterintuitive. You think, well, why shouldn't I just take a knife and just hack around on the back of the... No, you're going to kill the whole life of the reed when you do that. You maybe make a little minimal adjustment, depending on your experience. And this is all about experience, okay? But mainly it's balancing and blending the upper part of the middle third into the top third and balancing those ears really well and getting a nice flexible tip. That's going to make that reed more responsive and produce clearer sounds. Now, people talk about softer reeds and harder reeds. I'm not talking about soft and hard. I'm talking about well balanced, and I'm also talking about the sound that's going to be vibrant and have life to it. Again, we have a paradigm. We have, someone who's playing is emblematic of what I'm talking about. So it's not just empty words. You can go listen to Harold Wright, listen to the guy's recordings, and you'll hear his sound is always vibrant. I think of people that are playing unbalanced reeds, playing heavy reeds, and they're having to use a lot of energy and a lot of embouchure strength to control the reed and make the sound clearer. The sound is dead. I mean, think of the clarinet sound like a ball, okay? And the ball is made out of concrete, okay? Yeah, it's there and it's solid. Boy, is it solid. But there's no life, no vibrance to it, no movability to it. It doesn't ring, or you can use a lot of different words. I just think about the sound being alive, okay? That you feel like that it's solid. It has a definite shape, but it's ringing. It's alive, and you feel like that it's movable. You can move it almost anywhere. So that's what you're really looking for, all right? And also that the reed should speak immediately. And the other thing that's going to help clarify and make more responsive those long pipe notes is going to be, believe it or not taking so doggone much mouthpiece and reed into your mouth, okay? I went that way a long time ago, and it was very frustrating, and it wore my embouchure out, okay? What you need to do is adjust your reeds so you can play with less mouthpiece in your mouth, and you'd be amazed, because I can play through the whole register with the way my reeds are adjusted, with a lot of control, a lot of dynamic control, a lot of responsive control. With the reeds well balanced, I can play all the way up to high G, G sharp, A, with no problem at all when the reed is well balanced. And I don't have, I just have a small amount of reed past my lower lip. I have a lot of control of the instrument, especially articulation helps really eliminate undertones. So that's part of the things that you can do behind your nose to eliminate undertones. So those things, if you do those things, you'll find that you will have a better response, a smoother response over the middle break from throat tones to long pipe tones, and also when you're going from short pipe to long pipe, and also when you're going from third register to the upper part of the second register, the upper clarion. So all those things are going to help the clarinet play more evenly. But those are things, that's your exercise program. Those are the things that you can do. It's not like the pill that I gave last time, which is basically closing down the register key and building a spear to insert in, and though that really does help. So those things are going to make a big difference. And I'll have to leave you with this maxim, and I actually got it from an oboist, because oboists, generally speaking, take very little reed past their lips. They're cushioning the reed most of the time, but a very small amount of reed actually goes into the mouth, past the red of the lips. This oboist said, more reed in their mouth doesn't mean more sound. What it means is loss of control. You lose more and more control because the tip of the reed and the tip of the mouthpiece, which is where you really have your fine control and sensitive control, is further and further away. I mean, think of it like a fulcrum. You have a fulcrum. If you're up here, you have a lot more control over this than if you're way down here. Okay, so that's essentially, that's the idea, is that you have more and more control. And French embouchure is really about control, and you can play it with a great deal of comfort with all the tools that I've given you in the past videos and this video as well. Now, there is a pill, I'd say to speak, that you can do, that a couple pills that you can do to help the right hand play a little more vibrantly and a little better insofar as it is in itself, okay? One of those things is to pull your bell. Pull your bell about, always say, a couple millimeters, a millimeter or so, and you'll find that the whole right hand will play a little bit better. It'll be incrementally better. It'll be incrementally more responsive, and the bell B will be clearer. And you're not going to have any trouble really with resistance. I mean with the tuning. Okay, pull that bell. Usually, most clarinets, the bell B is a little bit sharp to start with, but this is not going to affect the pitch. If it does, it's like the Princess and the Pea kind of fairy story. So you can pull your bell just a little bit. But another thing I find that's really, really helpful is when you're playing the bell B, which is admittedly the deadest note on the horn. So why is it the deadest note? It's the deadest note on the horn because the only tone hole that's open when you play bell B is the register key. And if you've closed that down to make the upper clarion play better, then you're probably going to add a little more resistance to something that already has, by comparison with the rest of the horn, too much resistance. So one thing you can do is you can develop the habit of, first of all, playing resonance fingerings when you play the throat tones, but when you go to play the bell B, whether it's slurring down from the upper clarion or up from the chalumeau or the throat tones, is when you play the bell B, keep the throat A key open. The throat A key is a nodal point, and I'm not going to demonstrate that right now, but I'm going to demonstrate it later at the end of this video so you can see what I'm talking about, and you can hear the difference between the venting of the A. Now, to the degree that your reeds are out of balance or that your horn is not balanced right hand to left hand, that you're going to make a big, big difference when you vent that A key. When the horn is balanced better, right hand to left hand, you'll hear less difference. Now, when you vent the throat A while you're fingering bell B, what's going to happen to the pitch? Well, it's going to raise the pitch about 5 cents, but it's going to increase the flexibility and the responsiveness and the life in the bell B, and is very easy then when a tone is flexible and alive, so to speak. It's very easy to move the pitch that 5 cents that you need to get in tune. Whereas you get the deader the note is, the more fixed it is in pitch, the more difficult it is to sort of move it around to get the subtle shades of tuning And this is the problem with single lip playing, is it's inflexible in terms of subtle shades of tuning. And it's more difficult to move the sound around without making big changes in the shape and color. So this is the beauty of French embouchure playing, is once you get a very lively setup that's ringing and well balanced, is you have much more flexibility with shading pitch and playing in tune with other people without moving the color and the shape of the sound, okay? That's always the problem, is you want, if you change pitch, the general idea is the more inflexible you are behind your nose, the more set you are, then in order to change that pitch, you're going to make also changes in shape and color. You don't want to do that. You want to minimize that if at all possible. And French embouchure is the best thing that I know of to be able to play consistently very well in tune while getting a consistent, very beautiful, even shape and color in the sound. So these are very, very important things. Okay, so I've shared with you about the Sugru, get Sugru with color, and really, my ATG system is a really great system. It gets the read, I'd say 95% there. But if you want to move the read into that 100% level, then I don't know anything better than these little tools that I showed you how to make, and you can refine them. Of course, you're going to have to work with sensitive testing and all that with all your wits to get the read to really, really play. All I can do is basically hint at the best things to do, but you have to get on that bicycle and ride it and not fall off. And that's just a matter of trial and error, mostly error, okay? So those are the things that are really, I think, really important. I wanted to share with you that you can help. You're not helpless. Let's put it this way. You're not helpless when it comes to dealing with the issue of right hand to left hand. Now, I'll make one more comment, and that is that certain clarinets are better than others in terms of balancing the sound right hand to left hand. One of the things I noticed, I'll close with this anecdote, okay? Before I joined LeBlanc Corporation, I was kind of in despair about clarinets because I've been working with clarinets for a long time, and I just thought, well, the clarinet's just defective, It's just a defective instrument in terms of response. It's better than some instruments, but it really needs to be better. It really needs to be better because upper clarions tend to thin out. The long pipe notes tend to be stuffy, and this creates a kind of dichotomy that's very difficult to traverse, difficult to solve. And I didn't have the solution at that time. But it never occurred to me that right-hand pitches are anything but more resistant, and that left-hand pitches are anything but less resistant. And I'm walking around at a convention, and I actually was representing my business at that time. And what happened was I went over to the Yamaha booth, and maybe Yamaha's come up with something, better than what I've been playing, because I've been playing buffet clarinets like every other clarinet player forever, without question. So I tried the Yamaha clarinets, and I found that they were like, I don't know, a little different, but not appreciably better in the area of response, which is what I was looking for, an even color, even response. And so I thought, well, there's the LeBlanc booth, and LeBlanc has been pretty defamed here in America for reasons that I could articulate, but I'm not going to. But nevertheless, I thought, well, I'll just go try. I'll try the LX. That was LeBlanc's new clarinet. And when I picked up that clarinet, two things struck me at once. Number one, clarinet should not sound this way. It was too bright, and American clarinet players, well, actually it sounded very good, but American clarinet players would not accept it because the sound was brighter And I think I could have made it a lot better, but I just didn't have the skills at that time. So clarinet players in America won't accept this. It shouldn't sound this way. It needs a little more depth and ringing and quality. But clarinets really ought to play this way, because this clarinet didn't have any of those response problems over the middle break. And the resistance between long pipe and short pipe matched really well, really well. So what I did when I went to LeBlanc is I spent a lot of my time in clarinet design basically trying to put chocolate and peanut butter together. That is, to put the clarinet, to put the chocolate in the sound, to give the depth and the color in the sound, but also to add that even response so that the right hand would blow freer and the left hand would have marginally more resistance. And when you put that formula together, the resistance of the horn, right hand to left hand, long pipe to short pipe, feels a lot more the same. And I think we succeeded. Well, we not only succeeded, I know we succeeded in the concerto clarinet and the opus clarinet and in other models too. And eventually I put that in the Libertas clarinet. The 576, a wonderful clarinet, but the Libertas clarinet has more of that fluid right-hand ringing response built into the clarinet. That's going to be a little more democratic in terms of accepting your reeds, whether they're perfectly balanced or not. And when I say perfectly, I mean, never get it perfect, but getting it there, getting it really, really close. Anyway, my point is, in this anecdote, is to let you know that not all clarinets play the same. In my opinion, the Selmer clarinets tune better than the Buffets, and they also play more evenly. Now, that may have changed because I don't really keep up on this stuff. I'm not constantly looking at, well, I guess what you consider competitors. I don't consider them competitors. We're all competitors in trying to make the clarinet a better instrument. Okay, so again, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And I just wanted to share these ideas with you so that it didn't leave you hanging about, well, I guess there's no solution to this. The clarinet's just the clarinet. No, there are solutions to it. And now I'm going to try to move this microphone back so I don't blow the sound out altogether. And I'm going to do a little playing test to show you the bell bee and how it can respond once you get the habit of, when you play the bell bee, venting the throat A key. And with that, I'll just do the playing demonstration, and I'll see you all later.